What's up? This is Stu.
This is Jay. As I suddenly slam on the brakes.
And
welcome to Riders of the Dawn.
You are watching / listening Riders of the Dawn. And today we're going to talk about Johnny Mnemonic, the legendary
cyberpunk, which I'm going to call
urban
fantasy today. And I call it urban fantasy for two reasons. One is because it's like there's a genre of fantasy called or not fantasy necessarily, but magic within fantasy called like
magic punk or something.
There's mana punk.
Mana punk, that's what I'm thinking.
But then there's like technocracy, which is, it sounds like a technology based theocracy, but it's what do they call it? It's basically magic through technology.
Okay.
So you could think of Johnny Mnemonic as like the first of these. Of course, I'm saying this because I really want to hit that SEO hard because.
You could put that in the description. The video doesn't have SEO, dude. It doesn't work that way. Not yet.
Hey, you know what? People are going to be putting subtitles on this, and that's going to hit the SEO.
Yeah, maybe. As long as we don't say anything too conservative, that we can keep monetizing the video.
Yeah. So Johnny Mnemonic, starring Keanu Reeves.
I think this came out in 1996, I think 1996, 95.
It was earlier than that because when did The Matrix come out? It was before The Matrix.
Oh, it was way before The Matrix. Yeah, Matrix came out in 98 or 99. I think Matrix. God, I want to say Matrix came out in 99.
I think it was before that because I wasn't in high school yet.
When The Matrix came out?
Yeah.
No, you had to have been. I remember seeing The Matrix with my dad.
Same. I remember seeing The Matrix with my dad.
And my dad was like, "What was that?" And I was like, "That was cool."
That was the best movie ever.
And my dad was like, "That was actually really cool, but I have no idea what all that was about."
Yeah.
God, there was another one I saw. I saw another one with him the same year called The 13th Floor that was based on I think a Philip K. Dick story called Simulacron 13. No, it wasn't Philip K. Dick. That's someone else. That one was basically like the inspiration for Matrix, but then they made a movie out of it the same year, and the movie wasn't very good. You know, it's like, one of those situations.
Compared to The Matrix.
Yeah, The Matrix did it really well. Anyway, we were going to talk about Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny Mnemonic is this movie with Keanu Reeves. Henry Rollins is in it.
Yes.
Ice-T is in it.
Yeah. It's all your favorite B-movie actors / A-list rappers.
Yeah. So it's got interesting cast. Ice-T somehow works in this role. Henry Rollins somehow works in this role as like this as this like pissed off doctor. It was really an interesting movie. Now, here's the thing about Johnny Mnemonic. It sucks. It sucks, but it's such a funny, interesting movie to watch in the 2000 whatever freaking year this is.
In the current year.
Because of the way that it treats technology, and it's one of these funny things that like when you write. So in the 90s, dystopian futures were like a big thing because people were, even though the Soviet Union had fallen, all of a sudden people were in some kind of despair about like this bleak corporate future where like, and so like the movie starts off with like corporations rule the world. I'm like, that can't work. It can't work that way because corporations only exist because government creates the concept of corporations. Right, so like if the government falls, the corporations also fall. So that wouldn't happen. That's just that. I know that's like a political thing in the middle of this, but it's true. It's stupid. It's stupid to think about that. Like,
and plus, we just got done talking about anarchist Tolkien, so it fits. But Johnny Mnemonic is really about this guy who has basically a giant hard drive implanted in his brain.
Yeah, and he at the cost of his memories.
Yeah,
so he like can't remember because of the surgery that took out part of his brain to put this thing in, and it exists so he could smuggle data.
Yeah, and so it's classic cyberpunk. So when you talk about a punk genre, it's really about taking part of what makes you human and making it machine or making it something else. So cyberpunk, it's technology implanted into human beings.
Yeah, steampunk.
Steampunk is
Victorian technology.
Yeah. Then you have Manapunk, which is really like magic technology.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, maybe we call it like a subgenre of science fiction, fantasy. Probably subgenre of science fiction, really.
Yeah.
Because the focus is usually on technology on some level.
Yeah.
But technology presented in a different way from what you would expect it to be presented with. Where you have Star Trek, which is showing like, you know, a more ascendant kind of man, where people are capable of great things, and they're still pretty human. Versus Johnny Mnemonic, where people are cyberized and mechanized, or
The Matrix, same thing.
Or 8 Man After, a classic anime we should talk about.
Oh, or Ghost in the Shell, which is coming out.
Which has cyberpunk elements for sure.
Or Prophet of the Godseed.
Prophet of the Godseed has cyberpunk elements. It's mostly hard sci-fi though, just to warn you. So people get this like, what? I don't understand. Why? How did 2,000 years take place? Are they 2,000 years old? It's like, no, they're 60. It's like, well, how did that happen? It's like relativity. You know, like, do I need to have a character do a soliloquy on relativity? It's like, the answer is, after market research, yes. Yeah. That people don't come equipped with knowledge of early 20th century physics. No insults intended if you don't understand the general theory of relativity. Anyway, so
this character is basically being chased by all kinds of people trying to basically drill into his head and steal this data, and at some point in the movie, someone approaches him about actually what he's carrying. Yeah. Because he doesn't know.
And what he's carrying is this cure for this disease.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the disease. They had letters for it. It was intended to be future AIDS. That was what it was clearly intended to be. It's intended to be future AIDS. So like it was called NAS or something, like nervous something syndrome. And Johnny Mnemonic hires a female bodyguard who's a bodyguard because of her speed.
Not the drug, but like because she's fast.
Because she's fast. I don't know. But she also has this disease that's beginning to set in. And she's like, I'm going to die and I'm not going to be able to do this and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, they find out he's got the cure for this disease. And, of course, the corporations don't want to give it to people. Because for some reason. You know, they're like, well, we can. I think it was maybe like a reference to AIDS drugs back in the 90s were super expensive. And it's not that they're cheap now, but compared to the 90s. To the 90s, it was like, if you wanted to take your AIDS drugs and not turn into like a waif and die, it costed, I'm trying to remember, it costed like $80,000 a year.
Yeah, it was. Well, and this is where the South Park joke about Magic Johnson came from.
Yeah,
where
the cash,
injecting money into his
arms.
The
cash is what cured his HIV. So all of that sets the tone for what they were trying to allegorically say there about this. So anyway, that turns out that's what he's carrying, and realizing that the people he's supposed to deliver it to, I don't remember if they got killed or not. All of a sudden I'm blanking on that particular piece.
Well, I don't think they got killed. I think what happened was he decides not to give it to them.
Oh yeah, it was another corporation.
Yeah,
he decides not to give it to them, and then they broadcast it using the dolphin. I know this sound. If you haven't seen this movie, this sounds retarded, and it kind of is.
But I mean, shout out to B Movie Bros, because this is right up. This is right up your guys' alley.
Yeah,
I think Johnny Mnemonic is definitely a B movie. It's totally worth watching.
Yeah, and so, yeah, and let me actually, I want to talk about one particular topic in it, which is, so whenever you write a science fiction thing, what you're projecting into the future is like, what's our technology going to look like in the future? Is it going to be really cool? Is it going to be new and exciting? What's it going to look like, and what's it going to be? The people who wrote Johnny Mnemonic clearly didn't have a firm grasp of the technology in like 1993 in order to project forward what that technology would be like in 2030 or whenever the thing takes place. Because usually what you want to think of is like, how do you take this current concept and propel it forward into the future and make it ultra badass? Yeah. So think of a Star Trek communicator. Star Trek communicator in the 1960s was like, what if we have a telephone, but it's this big, it fits in your hand, and it can communicate in the spaceship? It's like, bam, that's it. That's what they can have in the future technology. It's like an ultra radio.
Yeah.
And they took the concept of a radio and just made it better. And now we're talking to you by filming us on a tiny cell phone that's more powerful than the computers my grandfather designed.
Yeah.
That went to the moon.
But you still have to buy that Texas Instrument calculator if you have calculus.
And buy that TI-89 that we used in like 1912 or whenever I had calculus.
You're not that old, bro.
So there's all kinds of stuff like that. So, they have CRT monitors.
Yeah.
Which, LCDs weren't a big thing then. They had them in Game Gears and Game Boys, right? But they probably weren't thinking like, oh, what if that were big? Or like, what if it was flat, So they had CRT monitors everywhere. When they plug into his brain, they're like, okay, we're gonna upload this file. It's 320 gigabytes. Which for them, they were probably thinking like, that's a lot. And now we're like, 320 gigs is not that much.
It's like World of Warcraft.
It's like a clean install of WoW. It's like the Japanese version of Final Fantasy 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
So actually, I think it was less than that. They're like, oh, well, you can use it's like, I'm going to use my data doubler. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Right? Like, there's a confined number of space that you can write ones and zeros in most technology. Oh, but this exceeds your capacity. It's fine. Jack me in. And they're like, they plug into his skull, and they they put the data in anyway. It's like, oh, you're gonna get like synaptic leakage, and it's like, what? The data's gonna leak into your brain. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing. It's like, what? Wait, who thought? There's a fixed capacity to like electronic storage, guys. It's not like, oh, I have an audio cassette in my brain. Well, we have 70 minutes of music. Record it anyway. Let it get recorded right into my synapses and my nervous system. And so he starts to kind of go crazy from like the data leaking into his brain. And the other thing is like, oh, you're going to corrupt the data. You're going to lose the data. It's like, if you could try, why don't you try this? Open up that System32 file on your hard drive and just delete a random file and see how that works.
See how that works out.
Just find a folder and delete it. Just like corrupt the hell out of your data and see if that's recoverable.
Yeah.
And so the thing is like, that's another part. It's just one of those funny things.
Yeah.
The data is going to leak into his brain, and then this great line by Ice-T, the greatest line Ice-T has ever said. You gotta hack your own brain.
Ice-T, man. Oh, he goes from cop killer to...
I can't deliver it the way he delivered it. Only Ice-T can deliver that line. You gotta hack your own brain.
Oh, man. Genius.
They have this guy who's like thinks he's Christ, but he's full of like cyborg parts. That's kind of a fun idea. They're like the interface that they use for their computers is virtual reality. The idea of virtual reality was huge in the 90s.
Yeah.
So like he's like getting all these random parts and assembling them into a computer, and he puts on the glove, he puts on the mask,
headset, yeah.
And then they showed this like CG thing, and he's like doing all this stuff with his hands to like try to operate a computer. I'm like, why would you make an interface for operating a computer more complicated than it was? Like, back in 1994, you had to have a lot more knowledge to operate a computer than you do now. They've made it way easier. Like, it's like, oh, how do I load up MechWarrior 2? It's like, well, you got to get over to the C drive, and then you got to find the application.
Load up your DOS prompt and know exactly the file extension location and type that in, and then
maybe it loads, but your sound doesn't work. Well, did you load Sound Blaster?
Yeah.
Dude, all this kind of crap. So that was their imagining of it, and the CG sequences look like crap compared to today. but you could kind of imagine what they were trying to do. Except, I can't imagine anyone would prefer to operate a computer in the way that they show.
It wasn't even like it was CG, but it was like, if you ever have been to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, they had these giant VR machines, and they were just polygons. Like enormous, like pastel-colored polygon blocks, and like you had this little gun, and it shot like it shot
like a pixel, and it hit the blocks, and like other pixels popped off it.
Imagine like asteroids.
Yeah.
Asteroids, but in 3D. That's what it looked like.
It actually looked like MechWarrior 2. Now that I think about
it, with worse graphics. Somehow.
Yeah, it was. Well, was it? Dude, no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they were like pastel-colored polygons. They didn't even try.
Yeah, MechWarrior 2 was pretty pastel-colored. I remember thinking it was really cool that, like, my little mech had like some camouflage paint on it that was like 7 pixels wide.
Well, I thought MechWarrior had some texture.
Barely any. Barely.
That's
any.
Still more Virtually than VR in the 90s. That's still more than VR in the 90s.
MechWarrior 2's Abandonware, by the way. You guys can play it for free. I still consider it the best, most authentic BattleTech game that they've made. Just isn't, by the way. So anyway, their projection of technology to me is really silly when you watch it in 2017, because they were being really imaginative, but they just weren't really thinking. They really weren't thinking in the direction of where technology would go, because they didn't really grasp how their current technology works.
And I understand why. It's because it's a dystopian film. And if you're thinking in terms of dystopia, like your imagination of the technology curve is going to be different, because if suddenly the world is dystopian, there's not progress. There's and you see this with how the characters interact. It's that things aren't safe. It's gonna leak into your brain, man. It's not like it's not clean, I guess is the only way I can say it. It's like, back alley surgery type implants is what we're talking about. So, it's like there's a meme floating around right now. It's like, I bet in the future they'll have flying cars, and then it's like 2017, fashion is like got a penis
on the front of the pants.
It's like this is the world we live in.
Yeah, great. Although we do have like magical telepathy devices, which are pretty cool.
And people don't like to talk about that. They just like to make jokes.
Yeah. So,
I'm all about the jokes too. So
yeah, I'm all about them too. So it's all good.
Keep those memes flowing.
And they had this other thing in Johnny Mnemonic. So like they had the rebel faction that lived inside like the Brooklyn Bridge or something. They lived inside this bridge, and they had a dolphin. This was so funny, but it's so 90s. Like, do you guys remember Sequest?
Sequest, dude. Are you
the submarine show?
Sequest. Oh my god.
Which was like about they had this like strong political side to like ocean.
All I remember,
I had the guy from Jaws in it.
Now, Sequest the movie or Sequest the cartoon show?
Was it maybe I'm thinking it was a 1 hour sci-fi drama show about this giant submarine that
I never saw this one. I don't know this one.
Anyway.
Oh no, I remember. Okay.
It had the guy from Jaws in it.
Yes.
Yeah. So Sequest is so 90s. It's the most 90s thing that I can like really think
Other than Johnny Mnemonic.
Other than Johnny Mnemonic.
Really 90s.
Which is really 90s. Sequest had there was this whole obsession with like ocean life in the 90s and like how bad the oceans are, and
every single person ever wanted to be a marine biologist.
And it's one of these things like the oceans haven't gotten any better. However, people just got tired of thinking about them. I think it's so like people have forgotten that there's a giant island of floating plastic garbage in the middle of the Pacific Ocean from like all the garbage coming off of Central America and like mostly Central America, but also like the United States. Just kind of swirls around in the middle of the ocean and gets destroyed by the sun. Anyway, dolphins were cool.
Yeah, dolphins.
People were like, dolphins have bigger brains than humans. It's like, go figure. They also have bigger bodies. Elephants have bigger brains than humans too, but they also have bigger bodies. It's like, but dinosaurs had brains the size of peanuts. Like, that's not true, dude. Well, they took a cast of it inside of a skull once. Like, no. But the point is, they had this dolphin with this like brain cage on and these like crazy, like little,
like electrodes.
Yeah,
like shooting off of it.
Yeah, and he could plug into the computer, and because he had this ultra brain, he was an ultra hacking dolphin.
Ultra hacking dolphin!
Yeah, and the way that they imagined hacking was like, Johnny Mnemonic's like flying through this like CG computer, like plastic stuff. And, and that's what hacking is.
Oh,
and like in 2017, you talk to someone who knows anything about cybersecurity, it's like, how's hacking work? It's like, well, I call them up and I'm like, password bureau here, I need your password. And they're like, okay, my password is lampshade123. It's like, thank you, sir. Have a nice day. That password sounds great. I'll be checking in with you again. That's hacking. And in 2005, hacking was, let me turn on this automated sniffer or packet sniffer, and I'll break this network. Or let me turn on this.
Hacking was like a lot of front load work and then pressing a button
and then running rainbow tables and stuff and trying millions of password combinations till you just got through.
But as the actual person doing it, it was a lot of just waiting.
Yeah, as long as just like, okay, we'll wait around.
I'm gonna go eat some top ramen.
Here, I created this hacking machine out of a GTX 270. I'm gonna turn it on and hack all these networks, and I'll be back later.
I think to most of our listeners, you just said random letters and numbers.
Yeah, I had a friend whose dad built an automated hacking machine out of an NVIDIA graphics chip because of all the parallel processing that happens. It makes it really easy to try all these different combinations when you're packet sniffing.
Yeah.
But anyway, the
Johnny
point
Mnemonic was awesome.
It was an awesome movie, but it was like one of these things, like people in the 90s didn't know anything about computers. Like, they're filmmakers, and they're like, okay, well, we need a scene where he hacks somebody. And it's like, there was probably somebody along the way. It's like, well, how do you hack? I guess there's a dude at a computer, and he's doing stuff, and then he breaks into something. That's hacking. And it's like
burglary, but virtual reality.
I've tried to think of a comparison. It'd be like somebody who's never like hunted before, and they're like, okay, well, we need a scene of him hunting. It's like, well, he goes out and there's a deer and he kills it and eats it. It's like, okay, let's have that. And so a guy like walks out his door and like
there's a deer in the
throws a spear 100 yards and hits a deer, and the deer falls over dead. And then he like the next scene,
and when he walks over to it, it's already cut into nice like little cutlets.
Yeah, and he eats the deer, and the next day it's like, I'll kill another deer. It's like, have you even played Oregon Trail, man?
Yeah.
Come on. It's like,
you can't carry all that back.
You'd only carry back 70 pounds of meat.
That's right. And then you died of dysentery.
Yeah, so this is one of those things, like, you just think, we need a scene of them hacking. What was that other one? Password Swordfish? Where it's like, you're going to hack this computer while you're getting a blowjob.
I heard someone compare Swordfish to Fight Club. It was like Fight Club, but hacking.
It's like,
what?
No, it was bad. That's what it was. I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't John Travolta in that one?
John Travolta and Halle Berry. It's one of the only times where you get to see Halle Berry naked. So she had a topless scene in it. People remembered that really vividly back then for some reason.
I don't think
people
I
were like, I saw it in
one.
theaters when I was in high school with like my friend Lee, and we were like, whoa!
Whoa!
This is back during the days of dial-up. You gotta give us a break.
Oh man. Anything? I mean, what's the resolution? I don't even remember what the resolution is. I just remember what's really fun about it is it's the setting. The setting is what is fun about Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, it's this dystopian like corporate setting. It expresses like all of the dark ideas of the 90s in like one little tight little movie that.
And the rainbow at the end is the dolphins. Dolphins.
They cure
the hyper cybernetic AIDS.
Yeah, they cure cyber AIDS, and everybody sails off in the sunset. Johnny Mnemonic gets his memories back afterwards.
Somehow,
They're like, well, cut it out of your brain and you get your memories back. It's like, wait. What? I don't think neurology works that way, guys.
No, but neuroplasticity and like we'll just take some plastic and we'll stuff it in your brain.
Yeah, It's like, oh yeah, my brain will recover the memories of my childhood.
What?
No.
Wait, can you do that for me? I don't remember stuff.
I remember too many things. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
No.
Next on Riders of the Dawn.
That was a good movie.
It was. I enjoyed that
really
one
good
as well.
movie.
All right, guys, we're out of time. So I imagine we'll see you next time.
Hopefully. So long as everything goes well today, you will see us again. We are on YouTube. If you're watching this on the video, then obviously you know that. But you can still find us on SoundCloud. I'm Jay. You can find me at MatthewJWellman.com.
I am Stu. You may find me at DavidVStewart.com and DBSPress.com.
And
I think that's it.
All right.
That's it. Buy my book. Buy it. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye.